the first time, we're definitely excited to have you here. If you are a return visitor from last week, welcome back. We're very, very excited to have you aboard. And as Dan said, tonight we're going to be talking about understanding your why. And so we are back, the dynamic duo. I am Karen Cross Hatton, and I am a SCORE volunteer, not a mentor, but I do volunteer in the events and workshops. And so I've been with SCORE since 2021. I am an entrepreneur myself, and you'll get to know a little bit more about me as we go on. And I'm going to turn it over so that my co-host and wing woman, Tracy, can introduce herself.
Well, I'm so excited to see so many of you again. We have Kelly back in the house from Australia. So we are honored that you wanted to hang out with us, even though we know it's a whole different day where you are. So thank you so much, Karen. We thoroughly enjoyed spending time with you last week, and we are just getting started in this series. So my name is Tracy Watt-Serino. I am a business growth strategist by trade, but really I just love to help people have the skills to achieve their dreams. So everything about how I like to help people is anything is possible. We just got to figure out a solution for it. So we're just here to have as much fun and bring the skills and the fun to business, because I think sometimes it feels really tight and stuffy. And SCORE is about mentors that help you find a way to make what used to be impossible possible. So that's what Karen and I are here to do for you.
Excellent. Thank you. So let's get underway. And just again, a brief overview of Tracy. She's, as she said, a business growth strategist, podcast host, Beyond Common Business Secrets, and a 5-time international best-selling author and speaker. So I am so honored to have her on board with me, and we are just in for a ride. So tonight's agenda looks a little bit like this. We're going to be defining and discussing the why, right? And then we're going to talk a little bit about passion versus purpose, about mission, vision, and values. And then we're going to wrap it up with next steps, okay? So understanding your why, right? So Simon Sinek, who, if you are familiar, is the king of why, right? He has had several books on it. And because of Simon, there's a lot of talk around the why. And he says that the why is the purpose, cause, or belief that drives every one of us. And so I'm going to have us hear a little bit more from Simon. So I'm going to just play a very brief video snippet. So hold on just 1 second while I get that set up for you.
Probably the world's simplest idea. I call it the golden circle. This little idea explains why some organizations and some leaders are able to inspire where others aren't. Every single person, every single organization on the planet knows what they do, 100%. Some know how they do it, but very, very few people or organizations know why they do what they do. By why, I mean, what's your purpose? What's your cause? What's your belief? And why should anyone care? The inspired leaders and the inspired organizations all think, act, and communicate from the inside out. Let me give you an example. If Apple were like everyone else, a marketing message from them might sound like this: we make great computers. They're beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. Want to buy one? Meh. That's how most marketing is done. That's how most sales is done. We say what we do. We say how we're different or how we better, and we expect some sort of behavior, a purchase, a vote, something like that. Here's how Apple actually communicates. Everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo. We believe in thinking differently. The way we challenge the status quo is by making our products beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. Want to buy one? People don't buy what you do, people buy why you do it. The goal is not to do business with everybody who needs what you have. The goal is to do business with people who believe what you believe. Again, the goal is not just to sell people who need what you have, the goal is to sell to people who believe what you believe. If you hire people just because they can do a job, they'll work for your money. But if you hire people who believe what you believe, they work for you with blood and sweat and tears. Something called the law of diffusion of innovation. The first 2.5% of our population are our innovators. The next 13.5% of our population are our early adopters. The next 34% are your early majority, your late majority, and your laggards. That if you want mass market success or mass market acceptance of an idea, you cannot have it until you achieve this tipping point between 15 and 18% market penetration. So it's this here, this little gap that you have to close. Because you see, the early majority will not try something until someone else has tried it first. And these guys, the innovators and the early adopters, they're more comfortable making those intuitive decisions that are driven by what they believe about the world and not just what product is available. These are the people who stood online for 6 hours to buy an iPhone when they first came out. Leaders hold a position of power or authority, but those who lead inspire us. And it's those who start with why that have the ability to inspire those around them or find others who inspire them. Thank you very much.
Kieran, you're muted. And I'm going to just let everyone know, we're working on getting the home base of SCORE to adjust the settings so that I can message you back in chat, because right now I'm unable to. So keep the chat coming. I can see it and I will continue to give your questions to Karen. So feel free to use the chat. Just at this moment in time, I don't have access to respond. So as soon as we get that fixed, you will see action happening again.
All right, fantastic. Well, Tracy, on that note, let's stop here and talk a little bit about the golden circle and the why, and let me know what's going on in the chat.
Absolutely, I will.
All right. So, when we think about the why, and, I think that Simon does such a fantastic job of breaking that down for us, right? They don't buy what you do, but why you do it. And, oftentimes we spend a lot of time trying to get everyone on board with what we have to offer, just because we're offering it. But we do want to understand why we're doing it so that we can share that. And guess what? What we are selling is not for everybody. There are some folks that no matter what you do, they're not going to get it. But you have to get it. You have to understand why you're doing it, because that's going to be what's going to keep you moving and motivating when you're not selling as much, when you don't see as much movement and progression as you would like to see. Your why has to be what Sean Covey calls a compelling why. That why that is the reason that and the motivation to keep you going, even when things look drab and like they're not going the way that you want them to go. You have to be patient with it, because if your why is a strong one and it's compelling and you know that you have something to offer the world, you know that you're able to have an answer to somebody else's pain point, that's what's going to move you forward. Tracy, did you have any thoughts or comments on that?
I just adore Simon Sinek. I remember he was the first TED Talk I ever watched, and it was a game changer for how I approach business. So I just adore him. I've heard him speak personally twice, so he's just powerful. Karen, you are muted again.
I don't know. It automatically keeps
Setting.
muting me here. I don't know what that's all about, but thank you. So yeah, so here when we take a closer look at that, right? We look at why. Why is the purpose? What is your cause? What do you believe in? As Simon said, the how is the process. It is the specific actions that you're taking to realize the why. And the what is the result. What do you do? The result, and that's the result of why. And then it is the proof, right? So one of the reasons why we want to understand our why, we want to have a good understanding of that, is because number one, it leads to a greater sense of purpose in your work and in your business. It also can be, it can have a significant ripple effect on your sales, on the lives of your clients and your customers, and also within your personal life. And I would also add within the lives of your employees and those folks that you have on your side helping you to move that vision forward, to get folks involved, to get them interested in what you do, right? You're driven by your doing beyond the short term, right? When you understand your why, it's just not those little bitty moves that you make that might gain you a little something here and a little something there. It is the thing that's going to drive you and to have you creating and operating in your long-term plan. Okay. So any questions about that? Any comments about that?
I just have something from Kelly in the chat that she first came across Simon Sinek through the Richard Branson's blog. If Richard Branson likes this, that says something. I totally agree.
Okay.
Totally agree, Kelly, right? Like Richard's like that magical unicorn of entrepreneurship.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Thank you, Kelly, and welcome back. Okay, so why is your why important? The idea is that money is not enough, right? So, we look at this quote here that says the siren call for many entrepreneurs isn't money, it's freedom. The freedom to chart your own path, the freedom to build what you want with the people that you love, right? So oftentimes, if you think about why people start business, why do they go into businesses for themselves? You may have those folks that say, well, I want to make money. I got this great idea, but that's not what's going to sustain them in the long run, right? So I'm going to share, like, for me, my why is freedom, but my why is that I don't want to work for anybody else ever again. I want the freedom of my time to be able to schedule things as I want to schedule them around the other things that I have going on in my life. I want financial freedom, right? To be able to do the things that I want. I spent a lot of my life raising children and putting off the things that I wanted to do, putting off my business ideas and goals because, I had to have insurance and I had to have a steady paycheck. I needed to know what was coming in. And I'm beyond that now. My children are all adults. And so I get to live out loud now. I want geographic freedom. I want to be able to do a webinar or a workshop like this, spend an hour or two with friends and families and clients and folks really talking about these principles, and then close my laptop and head to the beach for the rest of the day, right? When I think about freedom, I want the freedom to live my life while also doing something that I love and am very passionate about, and why I'm giving back. I want you to take a moment and put in the chat, what is your why? Why are you in business? Why are you here? What is it that you want to gain? If you know your why, let's put it in the chat. Kelly, I'm going to hold you to that, my friend. I'm writing it down, ma'am.
Yes. So Kelly says that her why is to make the world a better place. And isn't that like, it's just such a touching thing, because I always say that The why is for the crazy people. It's for those of us that are willing to take risks and do something that ordinary people think is crazy, right?
That's
So
right.
that's like a strong sense of why. But
Right.
those are the things that change the world. So I love that.
Absolutely. So Kelly, I'm going to ask you this, right? So here's my question. When people tell me their why, they always start with that initial thing, right? Their why. So to make people make the world a better place. But then you got to dig a little deeper. Let's take that down some levels, right? So what does a better place look like to you? What would be different? And how do you achieve that? See, when you're talking about that why, especially that compelling why, you got to dig some levels deeper, right? You got to really ask yourself. So, if your goal is to make more money, okay, that's fine, to make more money. Who doesn't want to be financially free? But what are you going to do with that money? What are some of the things that money will open up for you that you can't do today? Right? We have to keep asking why until we can't ask why anymore. Okay, does that make sense? So as you're thinking about your why, I want you to put your initial why in there, but then I want you to take us another level deep, right? One more. So what do we have going on in the chat?
So we have Philomena says that she wants to passionately help people develop excellence in their personal and professional lives for the living and learning globally. So I'm going to ask her what specifically she wants to do to serve that mission.
And then I see, yeah, so while Philomena is answering that in the chat, I see Carol says to encourage people who are hurting. Okay, so hurting in what way? Are we talking physical hurt? Are we talking mental hurt? Like, I mean, when we're talking about our businesses, we have to niche that thing down a little bit, right? We gotta get our target audience. We gotta know who we want to serve most certainly, and why we want to do it. So they're hurting in what ways? Because there are a lot of people hurting in this world, some physically, some mentally, some emotionally. Like, what does that look like? To help everyone own a home, also find stable homes, Shaquita says, right? For those in need. Well, there are lots of folks in need. What does a stable home look like? Because here's the thing, when we're talking about the things we want to do in our whys, and then we're talking about who we want to do it for, we want to be very specific, because some folks are okay with their living situation. To us, in our definition, it may not be stable, right? But for them, it may be. So who exactly do you want to help? So this is what I'm saying. When you know your why, right, it's very easy to give us that very surface level explanation, right? Lisa, welcome back. Hi from the dog bar. I appreciate you. To enhance the bond between people and their dogs. I love it. And how do you want to do that? Why do you want to do that? Why is that going to make a difference in the world, right? Living your best life. I love that, Crystal. But again, what does your best life look like, right? How do you know what your best life is? Oh, sorry, that was my chat box in the middle of the screen. Sorry about that, folks.
And then Chardonnay says, be my own boss and leave an empire for my kids.
I love it, an empire. And again, when you're leaving that empire, you got to draw that picture for yourself, right? Because if you can't picture it, it's hard to stick with it, right? So what does that empire look like? Draw yourself a picture, right? You have to have that vision in front of you to be able to move that thing forward. To when it's late at night, early in the morning, when you've been up for 24 hours, you've been up for 48 hours, you haven't eaten in days, because you are so focused on moving that vision forward. Your why has got to be that thing that anchors you there, right? So you got to have that vision. This is why I'm doing this, and this is what it looks like. right? This, when I am done, this is what it's going to look like. And this is why I'm doing it. So again, I just encourage everybody to take that deeper dive, you know, because it's easy to give the answer we've been giving for years in terms of why we're doing something and what got us into it, right? And we all have our stories to tell, right? But dig deeper for that why. Tracy, did you want to add anything?
I just am loving that everyone's going deeper. So Carol went deeper and shared with us that she creates homemade wreaths out of special twine and rope to encourage loved ones in a visual way for people with cancer and people who are going through turmoil and need encouragement. So she's really painting the picture of, you know, something beautiful creation that links it to how she's healing and serving the world.
I love it.
Thank you for sharing that. And then Kelly said how I had mentioned about the crazy ones, and I was like, yeah, from one crazy to another. So right back at you. Those of us crazy enough to believe it's all possible. This is the vision for a whole new, you know, a whole new world.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you all. All right, so again, here we are. You know, Maya Angelou said that you can only become truly accomplished at something you love. Don't make money your goal. Instead, pursue the things you love doing and then do them well so that people can't take their eyes off you. I just feel like that is one of the most powerful quotes that I've come across in a long time, so that people can't take their eyes off of you because you love doing it so much. Your passion spills over and spills out. And it's like, people are like, you know what? I want a part of that. I want to be a piece of that. How can I get on board with that? Right? You got to hear yourself roar, right? And the money will come. The money will come because you're able to, like Simon Sinek said, inspire great leaders. They inspire folks to want to be a part of that thing, right? Tracy.
I love this quote so much. One of my mentors, Jack Canfield, always says, don't ask what the world needs. Ask what lights your heart. Like, what lights your heart? And
I'm everywhere.
when you go after that, it's in such alignment with that Maya Angelou quote. And I just love and adore her. She always, you just feel the saying in your soul.
You do. You do. And that's what we're talking about, right? That why should be in your spirit, right? It should be in your knower. It should be unshakable, right? And nobody should be able to come in and question you, or even if they say, oh, that is a crazy idea, it doesn't matter because it's not theirs. They are not responsible for your why. You are. Right. And just like it was an idea and a passion for you, it will be an idea and a passion for somebody. And in some ways, they don't even know that they had it. They didn't even know that they were interested. That's how deeply your why should touch, right? So he who has a why can endure anyhow. And that's what we've been saying, right? When you know your why and you are steadfast in achieving those goals because you know in your knower that this is what you're supposed to be doing, right? You can endure anything. It's when you are doing it for very surface, shallow reasons that you then get to a place where your faith can be shaken. Your confidence can be shaken. You'll give up if it doesn't take off right away, right? Some of us have been working at this business idea for 2, 3, 4 years. Sometimes we're in it and it takes us until year 4 or 5 before we even turn a profit. But there's something in us that is at our core, and that's our why that keeps us pressing forward because we know that this is going to be something that we can offer to the world, you know, and that our reasons for doing it are pure and right, and we understand our why. Does that make sense to everybody? Any thoughts or comments, please drop them in the chat.
Kelly said, try 15 years.
Yeah,
The only thing I want to add to that
Yes.
is Sarah Blakely, who recently just sold her business for $1.4 billion, said that when you are first on your journey to sharing your why with the world, keep it guarded and protected. Because you don't want people poking holes in your why when it's fresh, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
people close to you that only can see you one way. So
Yes.
know your why with every fiber of your being, but also hold it close and tight until you have the strength to defend it. Because that was her biggest share, that for years she kept it close from her, and I really thought that was really valuable advice.
That is beautiful. And thank you for sharing that. And you're right. That's very important, right? Because people and the naysayers can talk your why right on out of the place, because they don't have their own whys, right? And sometimes it can be our closest family members that don't have that faith and confidence in us. Sometimes we definitely have to hold that why close to our vest, and we have to move in silence. And as much as we want to share and we want to burst, especially when we start to see something, still have to keep it guarded. But there are also some of those folks that are very close around us that are going to help us get to where we're going. So we have to share some of it. But definitely, I love that advice.
Well, the whole point of coming to something like this, the workshop series at SCORE, is because you're going to be with like-minded people
That's
that
right.
can fan a flame of fire to your why. And knowing who those people are in your life, I think, is really important. Just make sure you're sharing it when it's a trusted environment, when it's a little flame, right? Because we need to ignite it.
That's right. That's right. I love that. Okay. When your enthusiasm is palpable, people want a ticket on your happy train. The key to harnessing that passion is understanding your why. And again, this is all of the things that we've been talking about, right? Your why should be contagious. It should just pour from you without you having to reveal it. People just will see that light in you. They will see that fire in you. They will know that you are carrying something that's going to be powerful, and they just want a part of it, right? So, again, these are some questions to ask and consider when you're talking about your why, right? Why does your organization exist? Why do you get out of bed in the morning, particularly to go and work this thing that you haven't seen quite enough momentum in? You haven't seen it get exactly where you want it to go yet. Kelly, 15 years, right? What makes you get out of bed and keep going? And again, why should anyone care? Again, to Simon Sinek, why should anyone care? And when you begin to be able to answer those questions, you are on a great path, right? Tracy, anything to add? Anything in the chat?
Love it. Carol just said, happy train. Thank you for this. I'm getting it.
All right.
I was like, woohoo. I love it. I love hearing that.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. The happy train, right? So let's talk a little bit about passion, because I know I've said that quite a few times, right? About your passion and your why, being connected, right? And along with your purpose. So let's take a little deeper dive into that, right? So let's look at passion versus purpose, right? So your passion may be a bit tricky to define, because we all recognize it when we see it, whether in ourselves or in others. Passion is what gives you boundless energy, intense, almost single-minded focus, and the willpower to overcome even the most daunting obstacles. And that's exactly what I've been saying in a nutshell, right? You have to realize that what you focus on is what grows. So if you are focusing on all the reasons why this isn't going to work, or all the things that the naysayers say, if you're focused on that, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? But if you are focused on taking one step after the other, what do I need to do next? I need to create this plan for myself. What do I need to do to get where I need to go, right? How am I going to go about it? As you're developing your plan, you just keep moving, but you keep your focus on the future. You don't look in that rear view mirror, right? And so you're on the other side, we have, your purpose, right? So some of society's greatest celebrities and heroes, Martin Luther King, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Bob Marley, were men and women of great passion and purpose, right? Passion is what drove Steve Jobs to build Apple and Elon Musk to head not only Tesla, but SpaceX and the Boring Company. And now we can add to that Twitter, right? You can take steps to define your own passion and put it work in building your career or your business, right? So you put it to work. You put that passion to work in your purpose, right? Does that make sense to everybody? I wish I could see you all. I'm hoping so. Drop a yes in the chat if that resonates with you. Drop a yes.
Yep. People are saying yes.
All right, fantastic. Tracy, anything to add?
No, I love that. I love all the examples because it's so clear in certain people, right? And
right.
The more that I feel like the more you seek your purpose and really that inner knowing of purpose, the passion shows up. Not sometimes just chasing passion alone, can backfire at times.
Yes.
So I found that when we clearly chase purpose, the passion and the flame that we need to keep going, and maybe we'll all end up like some of the greats here.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Okay, again, passion is what drives you, right? Passion keeps you going despite the difficulties that your business will inevitably come across. And again, that's what we've been talking about. Again, that's how it's tied into your why, right? Your passion is going to keep you focused no matter what. Passion can't be found in your head because it lives in your heart. And I love that Oprah said that, right? The flames of passion are fanned by engagement, not thought. No matter how hard you try, you cannot figure out your passion by thinking about it. You need to take action and feel your way to your truth from the inside out. And Tracy, I think that says beautifully exactly what you just said.
Oh, I love Oprah. Yeah, of course.
Right? Beautifully what you just said. Right down to the flames, right?
Yeah, isn't that interesting?
Yes.
I love that.
I love that too. All right. Again, we're talking purpose is the reason for the why behind what we do, primarily for others. So in others' words, do what contributes. In other words, rather, do what contributes, right? Passion is about emotions. So again, purpose is your reason for the why. Passion is about the emotions, the motivation, and what makes us feel good. So again, in other words, do what you love, right? I want you to drop in the chat. Are you living in purpose or passion or both right now? Where are you in your journey? And if you're not in either space, it's okay to say, I'm still working on it. I'm still trying to find it. Both. All right, Irma. Very good. Very good. Purpose and passion. Yes. Yes. And if you don't know, because again, we're talking about the reason for the why, we're talking about your emotions, and you feel that down in your soul, right? And that's how you will know. If you're not sure, then you may not be living in one or the other, right? And so you have to think about, how do I get there? How do I get there? right? You wake up with purpose. Purpose, again, the reason why something exists is done or used, the aim or intention of something, right? So when you get clear on your purpose and you know why you're getting out of bed, you use your passion to help move that forward, to do the things that need to be done to help you operate in your purpose. Tracy?
I just want to address, there was a comment in the chat about feeling burnt out.
Yeah.
And oftentimes that does happen, right? Like
Yeah.
so take a break, take a walk, take a breather, rearrange furniture, do a little shakeup, and surround yourself with some things that feel good just for the sake of being. Like, it's kind of like, for a minute, step outside the business, and then see if that helps, because we've got to keep it on that, on that tightrope of where we're in momentum, not crossing over to burnout. And this is a common problem right now. Forbes just reported that 87% of employees and business owners are feeling the stress of burnout right now. So it's really important, if we're seeking our joy and what purpose we have to make sure we feel great, because we're no good to anyone if we drain our battery.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And thank you for that. And thank you for being real in the chat and just saying, hey, I'm doing both, but I'm feeling a little burned out, because let's look at, and you have to look at what are some of the things that are burning you out, and where can you get some additional help? Where can you get some support? Who can you count on to help you so that you can take that little step away? You can take that breather, right? You think about your supports. Are you a person that feels like nobody's going to do it like I do it, so I have to stay focused, I have to do this, I have to be here? Or are there some of the things that you're struggling with or working through that you can delegate to others that won't impact your business, your why, or your purpose negatively? Look at, are there things that you can automate? Are there other tools that are out there and available that take some of the stress off of you? And if you're not sure, there are mentors at SCORE that you can get for free, right, to help you work through some of those things. There are subject matter experts that can help you, kind of find your way in some of that. And also creating a network, like Tracy alluded to before. Like, we're right now in a group of like-minded people, right? Use the people that are doing the same thing that you're doing and get some advice from them. How do you deal with this? How do you deal with that? And be able to share some best practices that help to reinvigorate that spirit and that purpose, so that you can kind of get yourself away from some of that burnout. I hope that helps in some way. And right now I'm going to ask you all, if you have a solution or a best practice or something that you do for burnout, please drop it in the chat.
Oh, good.
Yes,
everyone's saying SCORE mentors have helped a lot.
Yes,
Awesome.
yes. And that's why we're here, right? SCORE mentors can help. Does anyone have a best practice for burnout that they'd like to share? Or are we all in the same boat and just all trying to figure it out together?
I can share something. A few years ago, I put together, and this is non-work related, it's just purely for fun. I put together a wealthy women's mastermind group, and we meet once every other week just to talk about things in our life that build wealth. So it's not just money. It's a massage, it's reading a book, it's all the things to keep our spirits high. And it has been such a game changer to not just keep pushing it. So that's one of my new recent discoveries. I walk every morning and I practice yoga as often as possible. And when I get really frustrated, I do a dance party break. Those are my, that's like,
I love it.
My tricks.
I love it. And and if that is what works, sometimes you have to just walk away for 15 minutes, put some headphones in, block out the noise, and just dance. if that's what works for you. And I see some other great tips in the chat: meditation, prayer and a meditation room. I saw yoga and karaoke, right? To sing and to dance. And then I see also Carol put in here, Pastor Rick Warren says, sometimes the most spiritual thing you could do is take a nap. Naps are so underrated, right? But sometimes just that few minutes to close your eyes and allow your body to relax and refresh can do wonders. Fantastic. Thank you so much, everybody, for sharing in the chat. And, you know, if any of you have anything else, just keep adding to the chat. Just keep adding your ideas and learning from one another and sharing with one another what helps with that. So again, thank you for being courageous enough to share that you're feeling burned out, right?
I love
So
what Irma just said about organization, first things first. That's
yeah,
great. That is so good
absolutely.
for that. Because we can't do
Absolutely.
everything all at once.
No. And you have to prioritize yourself. You have to do that, right? And it doesn't necessarily mean that it's number one, but it has to be in that top 3, right? All right, so here are 8 archetypes of purpose, right? So you have 1, the protector, right? Those who protect what's important, right? That is their purpose, right? The liberator, you shake off the old and reinvent a broken system, right? The designer, empowering through the creation of revolutionary products, right? You have the guide, the person that facilitates individual progress, right? Somebody like a coach or someone that can help get you through, right? The advocate, those who stand up for a tribe. The challenger, the person that is inspiring people to transformative action. You have the unifier. They are inspiring individuals to join a movement. And then you have the master, one who is on a mission to change, live, and improve the world. And I feel like we have a master among us. I want you to think about which of those archetypes and that the purposes sound like you, and drop in the chat which kind of purpose archetype